in for now, but today is Tuesday and we normally look at your money, but of course as we're projecting, 2016 is winding down and in a few days we're going to be crossing over to 2017. And now one of the things that is traditionally done by many is coming up with New Year's resolutions, but of course time has proved that New Year's resolutions may not be the way to go. But I'm sure many of us take advantage of the beginning of the year to have impetus to change some of the things that we do in our lives. Earlier on, right here on Morning Express, we had asked the question, what is it that you're going to be doing differently in 2017? Now, for us to have that conversation, joining me is Lennard Asher, who's a life coach and also a business strategist. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Mike, thank you very much.
Great to have you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
I hope you had a good Christmas, for starters.
Very grateful to God. It's wonderful that we saw there. We've seen the year almost. We are now in the sunset phase of the year. We're very grateful indeed.
Okay. Now, like I mentioned, one of the things, of course, that many of us do towards at this time of the year is begin to take pen and paper and write down what we call New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts on New Year's resolutions for starters?
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing to consider, and really, because a year is such a long time. People are doing personal audits, people are doing evaluations in preparation for a new year. Unfortunately, that there's matters and the hype that goes with the New Year resolutions really translates into results. Because what normally happens, actually, most people give up within a fortnight.
of putting those New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
This is proven scientifically.
Yes,
that within a very short time that New Year's resolutions don't work.
Absolutely.
Why do you think it is that they don't work?
There could be many factors that could be responsible, but what is been really given to us by experts is that many times we make decisions under circumstances that guarantee failure.
Wait, we make decisions under circumstances that, how does that work? Or what makes that?
When you look at the New Year's resolution, it is really an internal thing. It's more about the peer pressure. It's more about the glamour, the excitement around it, the environment around it. People are not really very serious. It's just excitement, and also there's a lot of mob psychology, where our rational thinking is lowered because you're now having group thinking. So in that excitement, there's no anchoring, there's no depth. So after all said and done, you find that you are not even committed to what you said you do. Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, for us to have effective, first of all, maybe let's change the term from New Year's resolutions, because that seems to be a term that is, maybe it's working under the environment that you're calling of failure, that is already bound to fail. What term should we use now, and how do we change our thinking at the beginning of the year to ensure that what we put down as our plan for the year, maybe we shall use the word plan for the year, is effective and not just driven by the fact that everybody else is making a resolution?
Okay, it's about making changes, and you know, at the end of the day, life improves to the extent which we make the changes. What we need to demystify in the whole process is that there are no quantum leaps in resolutions. Let's leave quantum leaps to physics. Life is a gentle, slow, gradual process.
And we better accept that.
It's a transformation. And the word transformation is not a revolution. People tend to mistake the two. Revolution and transformation. Life changes are rarely revolutionary, unless there's what I call the soul moment, the soul pole syndrome. That was a unique thing, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen.
And when you say the soul pole syndrome, you mean soul in the Bible?
Exactly. There was this drastic, amazing, dramatized engagement with God, and there was a lot of fireworks, and there was a tremendous
Suddenly he was blind, there was a lot of light and all.
Exactly.
But life rarely offers that.
That is more of an exception than the norm. Life in its entirety is a very slow, gradual, systemic process. And the thing I love most about the whole process, because I've been studying it a lot, and also learning from my own mistakes over time, the word I've loved most is the Kaizen word. The Kaizen, which is a Japanese word for continuous and continuous improvement. They talk about very small improvements, but continuously, very small. And in the process, the results are phenomenal. Now, the challenge we make most of the time when you make resolutions is to bite very big chunks. All of a sudden, we come, because of the pressure we're under, of course, we are looking at our past and we are disappointed. We look at our past and we are seeing a skeleton of misery, disappointment, failure. But we are forgetting these are habitual processes that have taken time to form.
Right.
And in the same way, they cannot unform miraculously.
Suddenly.
It's a process also unfolding. And in fact, if people took time to understand how the brain works, it will really inform a lot of decision making.
Okay, I see you've brought your sample of the brain here. And maybe you could just inform us on how the brain works, especially in regards to now this small little processes that you're talking about. Because if you take an example of maybe somebody who's in debt, obviously you don't wake up and you're in debt all of a sudden. It has been a process. For you to get out of that debt, you need an equal process to get out of it. But you see, we want to get out of debt overnight. But maybe first of all, explain how this brain works so that maybe we have a better understanding.
This is a fascinating, amazing facility that God gave us. In fact, God is epitomized in our brain. The good news is that neuroscientists and many other experts are releasing a lot of data about this whole
how this
thing works.
Small gray matter works.
In fact, every groundbreaking research reveals that doesn't reveal much. We realize that in terms of infrastructure and structure and the way it works,
and the size,
it's very interesting because I was reading an article yesterday about Albert Einstein, one of the person who had one of the finest minds of the century. When he died, when they did a post-mortem, the scientists removed his brain for posterity to study it.
To find out what's different about this guy.
Yes, that's in 1955. Guess what? They found nothing. It has revealed that. Even they gave tissue samples to researchers to study this unique, amazing intellectual horsepower. There's nothing it has revealed so far in terms of structure. That remains a mystery. But yet we know that these 100 billion neurons that are interconnected with each other and working at very sophisticated speeds in milliseconds that behoove even human intellect. It's an amazing resource that when we understand in a practical way how it works, it helps us be able to engage in a better way. But what we are told that they are what we call neuropaths, or rather the syntax where information flows. And we are told that because habits are not an event, a habit is a process.
It's formed over time.
Over time. So once you create a neuropath, that is a habit, for example, how information flows. It tends to flow from that on that flow or like that path consistently. See, if you're having a temptation for that matter, you find there's psychological, emotional, and physical pressure to do something.
Right.
And there's also a countering force in between. So depending on how you perform, if you overcome and you don't do what you wanted to do, you find that you are going against the grain, but the pressure doesn't go away. It still comes up again. But now what happens that when it comes up again, you are borrowing from the reserve, your previous engagement where you succeeded. You find that now the pressure is less and less and less and less until you overcome. It's the same thing. So what normally happens that now, the moment you make a resolution, you are going against the current. There's a way your whole system works. There's a way you have thought.
That path that has been formed in your brain from the neurons, you're already trying to go against it.
It's defined.
You're going against the grain.
You see the brain, the way it works, that they say the brain consumes almost 20% of the body energy. Yet it's a very small part. It's only 22%, but it takes over 20% of energy. So for it to operate very efficiently, it has to conserve by making sure that only the appropriate apparatus are working. So what does it do? When you are getting all this avalanche of information in your mind, in your whole system, it asks itself, is this information important? If it's not important, it's put in the recess. Are you together? So in the recess, it means that it will only call upon it when it requires it. So what normally happens over information is formed over time, it's kept in the recess and only retrieved when it's required. So what normally happens, the habits you've acquired over the entire period about your behavior no longer become conscious. They are now unconscious. You don't even have to think about it. They just happen.
They almost operate by default.
Yeah, so
you don't even have to think about it.
Exactly. It's now a fully configured automatic system.
And I guess just to give an example and case in point, it's like when you start learning how to drive.
Yeah.
Initially, your whole brain concentrates
You drive
on
consciously.
driving, yes.
You drive
This is
consciously.
how you change the clutch and all that. But with time, it becomes such an automatic operation that you
Absolutely.
no longer have to think about it.
Now imagine learning to undrive. Just imagine unlearning to drive.
That's almost impossible.
It is almost impossible. And in fact, that is another theory that also keeps us very humble. That the mind is not very keen on letting go what it has learned. That when it acquires something, it actually wants to retain it.
And doesn't want to change.
Doesn't want to
Is that
change.
why change becomes a very difficult thing for many of
Absolutely,
us?
that's why change is very hard. And that's why you find that even if you change, you can relapse. Because the files, the files that hold the information are still intact, but they are remaining to be accessed. It's like when you save a document in a computer, just because you don't access it doesn't mean it's not there. And in fact, you find that now proper thirds, what they do when they want to destroy information, they go and destroy the hard disk. Because just because you delete the file from the
Doesn't
normal
mean
path,
it's completely gone.
it actually remains somewhere in
And
the...
for those who do data recovery, even after you've emptied it out of the recycle bin, it is still somewhere there. There's some links that are there.
To make matters worse, we have what we call the cloud. That even destroying the hard disk doesn't even help anymore.
It remains on the cloud.
The whole thing is online, it will be there. Now, the equivalent of a cloud is subconscious.
Wow. This is exactly how the brain works. Do stay with us right here on Morning Express. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'd like to look at why, first of all, New Year's resolutions don't work. And secondly, how is it that you can make your resolutions or your plans for 2017 effective? According to Lennard, he's told us that the brain has paths that it forms, and these paths are very difficult to go against. Therefore, if you have a habit that you're trying to overcome in 2017, and we're going to be looking also at your finances, how is it that you overcome it? Do stay with us right here on Morning Express. Also, remember to answer our question that we asked earlier this morning, and that is, what is it that you're going to be doing different in 2017? We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.